Welcome to Faith Chats, everyone, where our topic is always about faith, family, freedom, and America. Today, my special guest is bluegrass artist Becky Buller. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Andrew. It's a delight to be here with you today.
So, there's a lot that I want to cover in this interview, but to start off, where did you begin in bluegrass music?
I have been playing bluegrass music most of my young life, and it started out with my family. My parents got interested in bluegrass music when I was about 5 years old, and they had a band with another couple, Gordy and Roxy Schultz, and I joined them when I was about, I guess 12 or so. I took up fiddle when I was about 10 years old because I wanted to sing in their band. And then it's just been downhill ever since.
So, when I mentioned the word earliest influences that helped shape your career, who would that be?
Well, obviously my parents, and they were very into traditional bluegrass music along the lines of Bill Monroe, Flatt and Scruggs, the Stanley Brothers. They liked the Dry Branch Fire Squad, that was like a second or third generation band, but they were very traditional in their performances, and then things like Jesus People rock music and Lutheran hymns. We played a lot in church. I grew up in a ELCA Lutheran church, but my parents had very ecumenical tastes, and we were invited to perform in loads of churches. So my brother and I say that we had an ecumenical potluck growing up, because we played in any denomination you can imagine. We played music, and I just think that was a great way to grow up. So lots of gospel music, and then later on, like in high school, I got into more modern bluegrass groups like the Del McCurry Band, Third Time Out, Lou Reed, Terry Bauckham in Carolina, Nashville Bluegrass Band, Alison Krauss, of course, and then beyond, into the Newgrass Revival. And I really love all branches of the bluegrass family tree. But even more than that, James Taylor, Simon and Garfunkel, um, stuff that's on the radio, and current stuff. I have a 12-year-old, and she keeps me current on what's out there now. And I've even covered Need to Breathe, if anybody out there's familiar with those guys.
So, 2020 was a very hard year for many people with
Mhm.
COVID and everything going on. And you released a project called Jubilee that was about your journey through depression and anxiety. Now,
Mhm.
we know in 2020, the depression and anxiety rates went to an all time high.
Yeah.
How were you inspired to create this project?
Ooh, well, this project Jubilee is a song cycle, and that means that it's meant to be listened to in its entirety in sequence, because it tells a story. And of course, you've already said that story is my journey through depression and anxiety, um, that really came to a crisis point during the pandemic. Looking back, I've always dealt with this. I have the artist's typical mercurial personality, but as the years have gone by, the highs have gotten higher, the lows have gotten lower. Used to be that I could, I'd get kind of in the dumps, and and then someone would call and say, "Hey, we cut your song and it's coming out on this date and whatever," and um, or, "Hey, we want you to perform with us on this event," or something like that. And that would bring my spirits up, and that would sustain me for a while. And but man, in 2020, it all hit me really, really hard. And I had a record coming out. One of my band members had already given notice, and he was going to play until July that year. Of course, that didn't happen. We weren't out playing anywhere in July. Um, but and then I lost a couple other band members because they needed to, um, like one needed to stay in quarantine because he and his wife were about to have a kid, and another one, our sound guy, became an electrician. My booking agent had to quit the music industry altogether to get a job that would actually pay his bills. And there were all these decisions to be made, and I still had a good team of people around me, and but there were no good answers, and I felt so alone, and I should never feel alone. I mean, I gave my life to Christ when I was probably about 9 years old. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I do remember the night that I prayed to receive Christ, and my babysitter was with me. Um, my babysitter, Allie Armbruster, and I'll always be grateful to her for praying with me. Um, but we go through seasons, and some are great and some are bad, and we're constantly on the mountaintop and then down in the valley, and 2020 was definitely a deep valley for me. And it's the deepest valley I've ever been in. But I honestly can say that I feel closer to Christ than ever before, because of what I went through, and definitely feel like I have a better understanding of where David was at in the 23rd Psalm, and how Paul was feeling when he said he despaired even of life. Um, so anyway, all that to say, I'm so glad to be here, and I was grateful in 2023 when the Fresh Grass Foundation invited me to compose through a piece of music for debut at their 2023 Bentonville, Arkansas Festival. And it took me a minute to figure out what to write about. I had never done anything quite like this before, but I settled on this song, Jubilee, that I wrote with Aoife O'Donovan just before the world shut down. We were both kind of feeling tired. There was a lot of great stuff happening, but we were both kind of exhausted. We're both touring mamas, and we just found common ground on this idea of needing a year of jubilee, and then we got this time of rest, and it was rest for some people. It just wasn't rest for me. But out of those ashes came this music, and um, it's been amazed. It amazes me how it's touched people, how it's started conversations about mental health, especially within our bluegrass music industry, which is my wheelhouse. I've had so many artists come up to me and tell me that I've never told anybody this, but here's what I'm going through. Can you recommend some help, like somewhere I could get some help, or somebody I could talk to, or how did you deal with this? And I've just been amazed and honored and humbled, that suddenly God has given me this mission and ministry to my community.
So, what made this project so special to you more than any other project?
It's the most personal music that I've ever created. I've always used songwriting as therapy ever since middle school, and all that youthful angst, that we all went through in our teenage years. I There were things in my world that I didn't know how to deal with, just things I was processing, and songwriting was my way of working through that. And also, like, I love to write story songs, so in those stories songs I'm creating the world, and I have some control over what's happening in the world, and these people in these stories, in a way that I didn't feel like I had any control of my real life. And so that the art, was very, very therapeutic for me. But and in all my songs, there's an element of me even if the song was inspired by something I heard or a movie I saw or something a friend of mine went through, there's always a little bit of me in those songs. But with the songs in Jubilee, it's me laying my heart out there for everybody to see. And um, it's still in an artistic way and not explicit, about things that have caused me pain, but and why I wound up the way I did. But it is definitely the most personal and transparent that I've ever been in my writing.
A lot of people think that recording artists are major influential public figures. They think that, oh, they live a red carpet life. They don't have to go through what regular people go through. Um, but we all go through things.
Mm-hmm.
And you were very vulnerable about your journey through this project. And I thank you for doing something like that.
Oh, well, thank you. I always have loved helping people, and I've always been more comfortable behind the scenes than out front. And and to that end, I was actually a side person in bands for most of my career leading up to 2015. I started my own band, so I'm at the 10-year mark now. But I just drug my feet. I didn't want to be the person in charge because I knew the stress would be just a little, would be more than I could handle. But also I'm more comfortable behind the scenes as a support person. And anyway, so to that end, when I started feeling better, um, and I'm happy to go into a little more about that, but um, when I started feeling better, I immediately said, I want to tell my story. I want to get the word out there, um, and my record label was very cautious, which I appreciate. And they were saying, well, let's make sure that you really are doing better. And are you sure that you're willing to tell the whole story? Because, I mean, who knows what people are going to think of you. And, I don't care. This is an, this is an epidemic and people's lives are on the line. And if this music even saves one person, I'm then I've done what I've hoped that I could do. So
So, you recently released a brand new project called Songs That Sing Me. Share with us a little bit about that.
okay, so this is my first all covers album. We actually started it 3 or 4 years ago. Now it got interrupted by the Jubilee song cycle, which we felt we needed to get that out as quickly as we could, while the conversation was was still ongoing. Um, and I'm so glad that Dark Shadow Recording was willing to do that and take that journey with me, and my band was willing to do that as well. Um, but then as soon as we got that done, then we hunkered down and we finished this record, and it's all covers. It's the first time I've ever done an all covers record. And these are songs that have been inspiring me for years, some of them even before I was born. And that would be the Camel Train song, that I recorded with Ricky Skaggs and Sharon and Cheryl White. That was so much fun. So my parents were singing that long before I was born.
Wow, that's interesting. One of my favorite songs on there is The Outlaw by Becky,
Yes.
Isaacs, and
Yes.
you together. That was an amazing collaboration.
Thank you. Have you heard the original of that one?
I have not.
Oh, you have to check it out. So, The Outlaw is a song by the father of Jesus People Rock, and that's Larry Norman. This is from his folkier side. Let's see. And I think the album is Only Visiting This Planet. I should know this right now, but I've only started doing interviews on the new record, so I'm a little behind the curve on that. But I think it's Only Visiting This Planet. And he just wrote so many great songs, so many that I'd like to cover. But this is one that I have always loved. Learned it from my parents, and then of course went back to the source, to Larry's recording.
So, if you could collaborate with any artist on a cover, who would that be?
Oh boy. Oh man. I always freeze up when people ask me that because I think, what if I answer wrong? Except it's my opinion, so how can it be wrong, right?
Yeah.
So in this moment, who would I want to collaborate with? Kermit the Frog. I think that would be so cool to get to collaborate with Kermit the Frog. Is that weird? That's kind of
No,
weird.
no, it ain't.
I love the Muppets.
What 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 song would you do?
Ooh, ooh, I don't know. Ooh, you're putting me on the spot. Hmm. Man, it would be really cool to sing a song that I wrote with Kermit, or co-write with Kermit,
Yeah, that'd be
or
cool.
co-write with Paul Williams, and because he wrote so many of those great songs for the Muppets, and
Yeah.
uh, and perform that with Kermit. So I don't. Yeah, I don't. I'd have to think about that some more.
So, are you performing any Christmas music this year?
We are. Yes, we've got the one weekend of Christmas shows coming up December 12th, 13th, and 14th. On the 12th, I'm going to be in solo performance at 3rd and Lindsley. That's for WMOT Radio in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's their Finally Fridays event. And then on, let's see, Saturday, the 13th, we are at the Station Inn in Nashville, Tennessee, the world famous Station Inn. It looks like a basement that lost its building. But it's Nashville's living room. It's a great place to listen to music. If you've never been, you got to check it out. They have great music there all week long. And then that Sunday, December 14th, I'm hosting a show at the Noah Community Center just outside of my adopted hometown of Manchester, Tennessee. And the Noah Community Center used to be a school, and it's where my father-in-law went to elementary school in the early 1940s. So we're calling it Live at the Old Schoolhouse, and it's Christmas with the Becky Buller Band. And our special guests are the Mountain Ridge Five, which is my husband's band. Jeff Haley, he plays guitar with those guys. And we've got Banjo Santa. We'll have free photos with Banjo Santa. And there's also a meal for an additional $10, and that goes to toward helping the community center pay for the brand new floor that they put in.
So, I hear there's this interesting thing called the Becky Buller Burger I seen just a few minutes ago. And I'm one of them fans on Food Network that like to watch the diners, drive-ins, and dives. So it
Yeah.
immediately caught my attention. You got to tell me how this came about.
Man, it would be awesome if I don't think they've been featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. We got to work on that. Yes. Okay. So the Jiffy Burger is a 60-year institution here in Manchester, Tennessee. They're celebrating 60 years here in 2025. And they have been talking with me about creating a Becky Buller burger for several years now. And we finally got it together in conjunction with this new covers record. So what we've done is we've covered an old favorite, and that being, of course, the Jiffy Burger, and we've covered it with jalapeno pimento cheese, which is melted, and then there's 2 strips of crispy bacon, lettuce, tomato, a little bit of mayo, all on a toasted #1 bun. Don't ask me what #1 means. Other than that, the head of the folks that own the Jiffy Burger love that bun. And so it's available Tuesdays through Saturdays, 9 in the morning till 9 at night. And the Jiffy Burger is right on the main drag, the Highway 41 US Highway 41 goes right through Manchester, Tennessee.
That sounds absolutely delicious.
It is. It's so good. Oh, I love it. And they just started um, using locally sourced beef. So that makes it even better. I love that we're supporting um, local business all the way around.
Wow. Well, Becky, I thank you for your time. I have enjoyed this conversation with you so much. And I encourage folks, go check out Jubilee, go check out Songs That Sing Me, go to beckybuller.com for more information.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. Can I tell everybody one more thing before we go?
Go ahead, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, just about the new record. The title, Songs That Sing Me, it actually comes from the Chronicles of Narnia. Are you a fan of that series?
I am, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So the magician's nephew is the creation story in the Chronicles of Narnia. And at one point, the lion Aslan is singing the world of Narnia into being. And that's what these songs do for me. They are singing me into being. They've taught me how to be a songwriter, and they continue to inspire my creativity.
What a blessing. Thank you so much, Becky. I have enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you, Andrew.
I enjoy your music and I encourage our listeners and viewers to check it out. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you. All the best.
All right. Have a blessed day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.